A 12-year-old girl stood alone at her mother's grave when her aunt suddenly abandoned her and walked away. But before her tears could dry, a black SUV pulled up, and the man who stepped out froze because the girl looked exactly like the daughter he lost years ago. The sky above the city looked strange that afternoon. It was bright, but not cheerful. Pale sunlight pushed through thin clouds, spreading a tired glow over the cemetery. The air felt warm, and the smell of fresh soil mixed with the scent of distant street food. Cars passed on the road outside, honking like they were rushing somewhere important. But inside the cemetery, everything felt quiet, slow, heavy. If this story touched you, hit subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of life. Amina stood next to her mother's new grave, clutching a small cloth bag against her chest. The bag didn't hold much, just a few clothes, a wooden comb, and a beaded necklace her mother loved. She stared at the dirt mound, her eyes red from crying. Her legs felt weak, but she refused to sit. It felt wrong to relax when everything around her had fallen apart. People had come earlier, neighbors, a few co-workers of her mother, even a teacher from her old school. They prayed, hugged her, whispered things like, "Stay strong, and she's at peace now." But as soon as the burial ended, they slowly drifted away, one by one, until no one was left except her Aunt Zara, who looked like she was waiting for the right moment to leave too. Amina turned to her aunt, hope flickering for the last time. "Auntie," she said softly, "can I stay with you? Just for a while?" Zara sighed heavily, like the question annoyed her. "Amina, please don't start this again. I told you already. I don't have space. My house is full. My children need their own room." She adjusted the strap of her handbag. "You're old enough. You'll figure something out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. But I'm 12, Amina whispered. "You're strong," Zara replied, waving her hand. "You'll manage somehow. Please," Amina begged. "Mama trusted you. She said you would help if anything happened." Zara's face hardened. "Your mother believed many things. That doesn't make them true." Amina's heart cracked. "I have no one else. That's not my fault," Zara said, turning her head away. "I can't take care of another child. I barely feed my own." She didn't wait for Amina to speak again. She stepped back, dusted off her dress, and started walking toward the gate. Her heels clicked sharply on the stone path, echoing like small cracks in the air. "Auntie, please don't leave me," Amina whispered. But Zara didn't turn around. Not once. The moment the gate shut behind her, the world felt colder. Amina stared at the grave, her breathing uneven. She sank to her knees, touching the soil with her trembling fingers. The earth still felt warm from the sun. She wished it felt like her mother's hand. "I don't know what to do," she whispered. "I don't know where to go." The city outside the cemetery buzzed with movement. Buses groaned. Taxi engines hummed. People laughed. Music played from some far-off shop. Life continued with its usual noise, but Amina felt like she was inside a bubble of silence. Minutes passed, then hours. She didn't move much, just hugged her bag and stared into space. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. She didn't have money anyway. Her throat felt dry, her lips cracked. The afternoon sun shifted until long shadows covered the cemetery. Finally, she stood up. Not because she wanted to leave, she didn't, but because she couldn't stay forever. With a shaky breath, she stepped out onto the main road. The noise hit her immediately. Traffic rushed by. People walked fast, carrying bags of groceries or talking on their phones. Teenagers ate ice cream. Office workers waited for buses. Everything felt normal for them. Nothing was normal for her. A street vendor near the corner grilled meat on skewers. The smoky smell reached her, making her stomach tighten painfully. She watched children buy snacks with small coins. She reached into her bag and touched her mother's necklace. The beads were cool, smooth. She put it around her neck and held it like a lifeline. She walked down the crowded sidewalk, pushing through groups of people. A security guard outside a store frowned at her. "Little girl, you can't sit here," he said when she paused to rest. "Move along." "I'm not staying," she murmured, but he didn't care. He turned away before she finished. She kept walking. As evening approached, the city lights flicked on. Neon signs glowed purple and red. Big glass buildings shined, with reflections of traffic. Expensive cars waited outside a luxury hotel, sleek SUVs, silver sedans, even a sports car with bright headlights. Drivers opened doors and bowed slightly as wealthy guests stepped out in fancy clothes. Amina stopped near the hotel entrance, staring inside through the glass. The lobby sparkled with gold lights. A chandelier hung like a glowing waterfall. Guests in clean suits and dresses laughed, held coffee cups, checked their phones. Everything looked safe, warm, comfortable. She pressed her back against a pillar and slid to the ground, her legs giving up. She rested her head on her knees. Her eyes felt heavy, her body exhausted. But she didn't want to sleep. She didn't want to dream of her mother and wake up all over again. People walked past her without noticing. Some smelled of perfume. Some held briefcases. Some talked loudly about work meetings and dinner plans. She was invisible. Her breathing slowed. Her eyelids fluttered, and then she heard it. A soft engine hum. Smooth. Expensive. A black SUV rolled to a stop just a few feet from her. It didn't sound like the noisy taxis she had heard all day. This one purred. The back door opened. A tall man stepped out. He wore a navy blue suit and shiny black shoes. His watch looked expensive. His expression was serious but calm. He scanned the entrance. Then his eyes landed on her. He froze. For a second, he didn't move. He just stared at her like something inside him broke open. He walked closer. "Hey. Are you okay?" he asked gently. Amina quickly wiped her face. "I'm fine," she whispered. "You don't look fine." His voice was soft but firm. "How long have you been sitting here?" She shrugged slightly. "I don't know. Where are your parents?" She hesitated, voice trembling. "My mom died yesterday." "Comma." His face changed. His jaw tightened. His eyes softened. "I'm so sorry." She nodded a little, not trusting herself to speak. "And your father?" he asked carefully. "I don't know him." The man looked down, then at her necklace. His eyes widened for a split second, like he recognized it. But he quickly looked away. "Do you have somewhere to go?" he asked. "No." "Any relatives?" She swallowed hard. "Not anymore." He exhaled slowly, rubbing his forehead. "You shouldn't be alone on the streets," he said. "It's late. It's unsafe." Amina shook her head. "I don't know you. I understand," he said kindly. "But I'm not trying to hurt you. I just want to help." "Why?" she asked. "Why would you help me?" He opened his mouth to answer, but stopped. Something flickered in his eyes, fear, regret, confusion. He quickly hid it. "Because you shouldn't suffer alone," he finally said. Before Amina could respond, the SUV door opened again. Thus, a woman stepped out, tall, beautiful, elegant, wearing a beige coat and heels. Her earrings sparkled. She walked toward the man, ready to ask something until she saw Amina. She stopped, her eyebrows lifted. She looked from Amina to the man, then back to Amina. Her voice dropped to a whisper full of shock. "Michael, why does she look exactly like you?" The man's face went pale. Amina's heart skipped. Traffic noises faded. Time felt slow. People around them turned to look, and right there, on that busy hotel driveway, the truth that had been hidden for years began to crack open. But what happened next was something no one was ready for. The moment the woman said those words, "Michael, why does she look exactly like you?" the entire driveway went silent. A valet holding car keys froze. 2 hotel guests turned their heads. Even the man in the navy suit, Michael, stopped breathing for a second. He stared at the woman, then at Amina, then back at the woman again. His jaw tightened like he wanted to speak but didn't know how. Amina felt everyone's eyes on her. Heat crawled up her neck. She hugged her bag tighter. She didn't understand why the woman said that. She didn't understand why the man suddenly looked nervous. She only knew one thing: people rarely got nervous around her unless something was wrong. The woman took a slow step forward. "Michael," she repeated, her voice softer now, almost shaken. "I'm serious. Look at her. Look carefully." Michael finally spoke. It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" the woman asked sharply. Amina's heart beat fast. She stood and took a tiny step back, unsure if she should run or stay. Her body told her to run, but her legs didn't move. The woman walked even closer and knelt to Amina's level. Her eyes scanned Amina's face carefully. Her eyes, her cheekbones, her nose, like she was comparing every detail. Then she whispered, "It's the same. She looks like you." Michael sighed heavily. "Caroline, please, not here." "Then where, Michael?" Caroline snapped. "Where do we talk about this? In front of reporters? Inside the lobby? In the car? Because right now, you're standing in front of a child who looks like she could be your daughter." Amina flinched. "Daughter." The word felt heavy and unreal. She stared at Michael, waiting for him to deny it. But he didn't say anything. Caroline slowly stood up and brushed off her coat. She looked like someone trying to stay calm while fire burned inside her. Amina whispered, I'm not his daughter." Caroline looked at her gently. "Sweetheart, I didn't mean to scare you. The 17. I don't know him," Amina added quickly. "He just asked if I'm okay." Michael nodded. "That's the truth. I just wanted to help. That's the truth." Caroline crossed her arms. "Because she looks like you?" "Because she's alone," he answered firmly. Their eyes locked. Tension, thick in the air. A security guard approached nervously. "Excuse me, sir. Is everything okay here?" Everything okay here?" Michael raised a hand. "Everything's fine." The guard nodded and walked away. Caroline exhaled slowly. "We can't stand here. People are staring." Then she turned to Amina. "Where are you going? Do you have somewhere to sleep?" Amina didn't answer. Her throat burned. Michael stepped forward. "She doesn't." Caroline blinked. "What?" "She has nowhere," he said quietly. "Her mother died yesterday." Caroline's face softened instantly. "Oh my God, sweetheart, I'm so sorry." A tear slipped down Amina's cheek. She hated crying in front of strangers, but she couldn't stop it. Caroline looked at Michael with a mix of anger and disbelief. "You were just going to leave her here?" "I wasn't," he said firmly. "I was going to take her somewhere safe." Caroline froze. "You were going to take her, without telling me?" "She was alone, Caroline. That's not the point." Caroline stepped back, frustrated. "We're married, Michael. You don't make decisions like this alone." Amina whispered, "You don't have to take me anywhere. I'll go." "Where?" Caroline asked, her voice breaking. Amina opened her mouth, but no words came out. She didn't have an answer. Caroline placed a hand gently on Amina's shoulder. "Listen, we can talk inside. Maybe we can help you find someone. A shelter, maybe. Or someone from your family." Amina's heart twisted. I don't have anyone. I don't have anyone." Michael whispered under his breath. "She shouldn't be out here. Finkster. Finkster." Caroline bit her lip, thinking. She looked at Michael again. "Fine. We're not leaving her on the street. Let's go inside and talk." Michael exhaled with relief. "Thank you." Caroline walked toward the entrance, leading Amina gently. But Amina hesitated. "What is it?" Caroline asked. I don't belong in a place like this," Amina whispered, staring at the shiny floors through the glass. Caroline knelt beside her again. "Sweetheart, no place is too good for you. Come. Her voice was warm, and for the first time since the funeral, someone spoke to Amina with kindness. Amina followed them inside. The lobby looked like a palace. A huge chandelier sparkled above them. The marble floors reflected golden light. Guests walked in and out, carrying suitcases and designer bags. A waitress in a black uniform walked by holding fancy drinks on a tray. The smell of coffee and warm pastries filled the air. Amina looked around, amazed and intimidated. She had never been anywhere like this. Caroline guided her to a quiet corner with soft couches. Sit here. Amina sat carefully, afraid to damage the expensive furniture. Her sandals looked dusty. Her dress was wrinkled, her hair messy from the long day. She felt painfully out of place. Michael stood in front of her and crouched down. Amina, can you tell us what happened today? Or yesterday? Whatever you're comfortable sharing. Amina, she swallowed hard. My mom. She worked at a mall. She got sick last week, really sick. By the time we reached the hospital, it was too late. They couldn't help her. Caroline covered her mouth, eyes filling. I'm so sorry, Amina continued, voice low. We lived in a small rented room. The landlord said we have to leave because the rent wasn't paid. My aunt said she can't take me. So you were alone? Michael asked gently. Amina nodded. Yes. Caroline shook her head slowly, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. How can someone just abandon a child like this? Michael looked at her with an expression she didn't recognize, half pain, half guilt. Caroline sat beside Amina. Do you have anything to eat today? Amina shook her head. Caroline stood quickly. I'll get her food. Michael nodded, watching her walk toward the cafe. Then he turned back to Amina. Listen, you're safe here, okay? She looked at him. Why do you care so much? Michael froze. His mouth opened slightly, then closed again. He looked down, thinking. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. Because I know what it's like to grow up without a father. Amina didn't know how to respond to that. A waiter approached with a tray of food sandwiches, juice, fruit. Caroline returned with napkins. Amina hesitated, but Caroline smiled. Eat, please. Amina took tiny bites at first, then hunger took over. She ate quickly. Embarrassed but relieved, Caroline whispered, Poor child. How long has she gone without food? Michael didn't answer. Once Amina finished, Caroline asked, Where were you planning to sleep tonight? Amina looked away. I don't know. Caroline exhaled. You can't stay outside. Not again. Michael sat beside her. Amina, if you trust us, even a little, you can stay with us tonight. Just tonight. We won't force anything. Amina's heart pounded. Stay. With you? Yes, Caroline said softly. Just for tonight. You'll have a warm meal, a shower, a bed. Amina blinked, trying to understand such kindness. Michael looked at his hands. Caroline looked at Michael. Because it's the right thing to do, Caroline said. For a long moment, Amina didn't speak. She thought of her mom's voice telling her to be brave. She thought of the grave. She thought of the cold sidewalk outside. She nodded slowly. Michael stood. Let's go then. They walked out of the hotel together. The black SUV waited. The driver opened the door. Caroline helped Amina inside gently. As the car began moving, Amina stared out of the window. The city lights blurred past bright signs, busy streets, food stalls, motorbikes, kids running, people laughing, traffic lights turning red and green. Everything looked the same, yet her life felt completely different. Caroline asked softly, Do you want to talk? Amina shook her head. Not now. That's okay. Michael watched Amina through the rearview mirror. His face looked tense, thoughtful, almost scared. Caroline noticed. Michael, she whispered. Talk to me. Talk to me. He shook his head. Not here. Caroline stared at him. Is there something you're not telling me? He didn't answer. Amina shifted in her seat, pretending she wasn't listening, but every word felt important. The SUV drove through clean roads, passing shopping malls and tall apartments. Soon the city noise faded. They turned into a gated community with tall walls and private security. A massive house stood at the end of the street. White walls, tall windows, a garden with lights, a fountain in front that sparkled under the night sky. Amina stared, stunned. You live here? She whispered. Caroline smiled softly. Yes. It's home. A guard opened the gate. The SUV parked in the driveway. Michael stepped out first. Caroline held Amina's hand gently. Come. Don't worry. Amina stepped onto the polished driveway. She had never seen a house like this except on TV. Inside, everything was bright and warm. Soft lights, clean marble floors, a long staircase with golden rails, a huge living room with white couches and big paintings. The smell of vanilla candles filled the air. Amina stood frozen. Caroline placed a hand on her shoulder. You're safe here. Michael cleared his throat. Amina, there's something you should know. Amina, Caroline turned to him sharply. Michael. Not now. He swallowed hard. She deserves to know, Caroline. Amina looked at both of them nervously. What? What do I deserve to know? She asked quietly. Michael's hands shook slightly. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Amina, I think I might know who your father is. Amina's breath caught. Caroline stared at him, eyes wide. Michael, she whispered. Please don't say what I think you're about to say. He looked at Amina with eyes full of guilt and pain. Amina, I think it's me. And with those words, everything broke open at once. Amina felt her whole body freeze. The room around her blurred. The walls, the soft lights, the huge paintings. Everything disappeared for a moment. She stared at Michael like she didn't understand the language he spoke. You think you're my father? She whispered, her voice barely alive. Michael didn't blink. Not think, he said quietly. I'm almost sure. Caroline stepped back like the air had slapped her. Michael, stop. You can't just say this without proof. Michael looked at her with pain in his eyes. Caroline, I told you. Years ago. I told you I wasn't perfect. Caroline's voice cracked. You didn't tell me this. Amina's legs trembled. She reached for the wall to steady herself. How? She whispered. How can you be my father? Michael's jaw tightened. His voice shook as he answered. Before I married Caroline, I had a relationship. It was short. It didn't end well. And then she left the city. I never heard from her again. Amina's heart hammered. My mother. Her name was Miriam. Miriam. Michael shut his eyes as if the name stabbed him. Yes, he whispered. That's her. Miriam. Caroline covered her mouth in shock. Amina stepped backward. You knew her? Amina. So. Michael nodded slowly. Yes. Did you know about me? She asked. This time he looked weak, broken. No. I swear. I didn't know she was pregnant. I didn't know she had a child. I found out nothing. She disappeared, Amina. She didn't tell me. Amina felt tears pushing into her eyes. She didn't know if she should scream or run or fall apart. Caroline spoke with a sharp, shaking breath. Michael, if this is true, why didn't she come back? Why didn't she ask for help? Why didn't she tell you? Michael looked miserable. I asked myself that 1,000 times since I realized who she might be. Amina's voice cracked. You realized? When? Michael swallowed. Today. When I saw you. When I saw the necklace. Amina held the beaded necklace tightly. This was my mom's. I gave it to her, Michael said softly. Many years ago, Caroline whispered. My God. So she kept it all these years. Amina's breaths grew uneven. If you're my father, where were you when she was dying? Where were you when we were starving? Where were you when she cried alone at night? Michael looked like her words stabbed straight into his chest. Tears gathered in his eyes. Amina, please. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. If I had known about you, I would have searched everywhere. I would have... You weren't there, Amina said in a broken whisper. She raised me alone. Michael nodded slowly, accepting every word like a punishment. Caroline stepped away from them, holding her forehead. I can't believe this. I can't believe you hid this. I didn't hide anything, Michael replied desperately. I didn't know. I swear. Caroline shook her head. But she looks like you. God, she looks more like you than your own daughter. Caroline shook her head. Amina blinked. You have a daughter? Michael nodded. Yes. Her name is Layla. She's 11. 1. Amina felt something heavy twist inside her chest. Another child. A real family. A life she never had. Caroline took a deep breath. We need proof. We need a DNA test. Amina looked up sharply. DNA? Like a test to check if he's really my father? Yes, Caroline said gently. It's the only way to know the truth. Ratant. Amina looked at Michael. He nodded, eyes red. If you want that, we'll do it. Anytime. A long silence filled the room. Caroline finally spoke. Amina, you're staying the night. That's final. We'll figure the rest out tomorrow. Amina nodded slowly. She was too tired to argue. Michael stepped closer, voice soft. Amina, you don't have to be scared. Not here. Amina. But she was scared. Everything was too much. Too fast. Too confusing. Caroline showed her to a guest room upstairs. It looked like a dream. Soft white blankets. Warm light. A window overlooking the garden. Amina walked inside slowly, afraid to touch anything. She sat at the edge of the bed, staring at her hands. Caroline placed a glass of water on the nightstand. If you need anything, knock on our door, okay? Amina nodded. Caroline hesitated before speaking. And Amina, whatever happens next, none of this is your fault. When she left, Amina lay down slowly. The bed felt soft, warm, safe, but her chest felt tight. She stared at the ceiling, thinking of her mother's smile, her laughter, her voice telling stories before sleep. Then she thought of Michael. Could he really be her father? She touched the necklace again. Then she cried quietly into the pillow until sleep finally pulled her under. Thank you for watching. She read Imunka the Formant. The next morning, she woke to the smell of pancakes and warm syrup. Sunlight spilled through the curtains. For a moment, she forgot everything. She forgot the grave, the streets, the hotel, the SUV, the big house. Michael's words. Then reality crashed back. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. She didn't know if she should go downstairs or wait. She didn't know the rules of a house like this. A soft knock came. Amina? Caroline's voice. Yes, Amina whispered. Breakfast is ready. Come when you feel okay. Amina washed her face and brushed her hair with her mother's comb. She stared at herself in the mirror. She did see some of Michael in her features. Her nose, her eyes, even her eyebrows. But she shook her head. Maybe it was imagination. Maybe she wanted it too much. Maybe she wanted it too little. Downstairs, the dining table was filled pancakes, eggs, toast, fruit, juice. Michael was already seated, looking tired like he hadn't slept all night. Caroline poured orange juice, and next to her, a girl around Amina's age sat on a chair, staring with wide, curious eyes. Michael looked up. Amina, this is Layla. Layla smiled shyly. Hi. Amina nodded awkwardly. Hi. Michael cleared his throat. Eat as much as you want. Amina sat slowly and took small bites. She felt Layla staring. You look like my dad, Layla said suddenly. Michael froze. Caroline's eyes widened. Amina choked slightly on her juice. I'm sorry, Layla said quickly. I didn't mean to make it weird. Amina smiled a little. It's okay. Layla leaned closer. Are you, like, my sister? Amina shook her head. I don't know. Michael sighed deeply. We'll get the test done today. Layla's eyes sparkled. If she is my sister, that would be cool. And Amina's chest tightened. She didn't want to hope. Hope hurt. After breakfast, Michael grabbed his keys. Let's go. Amina felt shaky. Now? Caroline nodded. The sooner we know the truth, the better. Inside the SUV, the tension felt heavy. Layla hummed with excitement. Michael stared out the window. Caroline kept checking her phone. Amina hugged her bag tightly. The drive to the medical center felt long. They entered a clean, quiet building. White walls. The smell of sanitizer. Nurses walked around in blue uniforms. A receptionist asked, How can I help you? Caroline answered, We need a DNA test. Paternity. Amina felt the whole room look at her. They went inside a small room where a doctor explained the process. A simple cheek swab. Quick and painless. Michael went first, then Amina. The doctor sealed the samples. Results in 48 hours. Amina's stomach twisted. 2 days. 2 long days. Outside, Layla walked next to Amina. So, what do you think? I don't know, Amina said honestly. Layla smiled softly. No matter what, you can still be my friend. And then, those words hit deeper than she expected. They drove back home. Amina went to the guest room. Michael stood at the doorway. Amina, he said gently. If it turns out I am your father, I will take responsibility. I will protect you. I will give you anything you need. Amina looked up. But if you're not? Michael paused. His voice cracked. I'll still make sure you're safe. You won't go back to the streets. Michael paused. Amina's throat tightened. Why? He breathed in deeply. Because when I saw you sitting alone outside that hotel, something inside me broke. He breathed in deeply. Amina didn't know what to say. Later that evening, Caroline approached her softly. Can we talk? Amina nodded. They sat in the living room. Caroline's voice was gentle. Amina, whatever the result says, I want you to know something. This is not a full. What? You didn't ruin anything. You didn't break anything. The adults did. Not you. Amina looked down. Do you hate me? Caroline's eyes softened. No, sweetheart. I'm just shocked, hurt, confused, but not at you. Amina swallowed. If the test says yes, will you let me stay? Caroline took her hand gently. If the test says yes, you're family. And if the test says no, Amina whispered. Caroline gave a sad smile. Then you're still welcome here. Because a child alone in the world deserves a place to feel safe. Amina felt tears burning her eyes. Caroline added, But Amina, I need to ask you something. Something important. Amina looked up nervously. Okay, Caroline's voice lowered. Has your mother ever told you anything about your father? Anything at all? Amina shook her head. She never talked about him. Caroline leaned closer. Did she ever show you a picture? Amina froze. A picture. She remembered something. A small box, hidden inside her mother's dresser. A single photograph, folded in half. Her mother had said, This is from a different life. You don't need it. Caroline saw Amina's face change. You remember something, don't you? Amina nodded slowly. There was a picture. Caroline gasped. Do you still have it? Amina opened her bag carefully, and right there, in front of everyone, she pulled out a folded photograph. Michael stared. Caroline covered her mouth. Layla froze. Amina unfolded it with shaking hands. The picture showed a much younger Michael, smiling, with his arm around Miriam. Amina whispered, breathing fast, "This was my mom's." Michael stepped back like he had been hit. Caroline whispered, "Oh my God." Layla blinked slowly, eyes wide. Amina held the photo tightly, and at that moment, everyone knew the truth had just found a voice. But what happened next would turn their lives upside down again. The photograph lay flat on the coffee table, its edges slightly bent, its colors faded from time. But the truth inside it felt brighter than anything in the room. A younger Michael stood with his arm wrapped around Miriam, Amina's mother, both smiling like they carried the whole future in their hands. Amina stared at the picture, tracing her mother's face with her thumb. Tears blurred her eyes. Michael looked like he couldn't breathe. His hands trembled. That's me," he whispered. "And Miriam, she kept this?" Amina nodded slowly. "She hid it. I found it once when I was 8. She said it was from a different life." Caroline sank onto the couch, covering her face. "She kept a photo of you for years, even when she left the city, even when she raised Amina alone." A painful silence settled across the room. Layla shifted closer to Amina, whispering, "I'm sorry you had to grow up without him." Amina swallowed hard. "It's okay." But it wasn't okay. Not even close. Michael stepped closer, voice cracking. "Amina, I never stopped caring about your mother. Things ended badly. Yes, but I didn't know she had you. If I had known..." Amina cut him off, her voice trembling but firm. "You weren't there. She was sick for days. We had no money for food or medicine. She died in my arms, and you weren't there." Michael's eyes flooded with tears. He sat down slowly, like his legs couldn't hold him. Caroline clasped her hands. "We can't change the past, but we can decide what we do next." Amina looked at her. Caroline wasn't angry anymore. She wasn't cold. She looked like someone who had finally understood the whole story. "We'll wait for the test," Caroline said softly. "But Amina, you're not alone anymore." Amina looked away, wiping her tears. Hours passed slowly. The air in the house felt heavy. Michael made calls, paced the floor, stared out the windows. Caroline prepared lunch. Amina barely touched. Layla tried telling jokes to lighten the moment, but her voice kept breaking. That night, Amina sat by the guest room window, watching the garden lights flicker gently in the dark. She held the photograph again. Her mother looked so alive in it, so happy. A painful thought hit her. Would her mother have come back to Michael if she could? Had she missed him? Had she wanted Amina to know the truth someday? A soft knock came. "Amina?" It was Michael's voice. She hesitated, then opened the door. He stepped inside slowly, like he wasn't sure he was allowed to. He held a small wooden box in his hand. "This belonged to me," he said quietly. "I kept it locked for years, but I want you to have it." He placed the box in her hands. She opened it carefully. Inside were letters, dozens, maybe more, all addressed to Mariam. Amina gasped. You wrote to her? Min. You wrote to her? Min. 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 Michael nodded, staring at the floor. "When she left, I wrote every month. I didn't know where to send them, but I kept writing. I couldn't let go." His voice broke. "She never told me she had moved to another town. She never told me she was pregnant. I would have gone after her, Amina. I would have found her." Amina felt her anger soften but not disappear. "Why didn't she come back?" she asked. "I don't know," he whispered. Maybe she thought I had moved on. Maybe she thought she would break my life. Or maybe she was scared. Amina hugged the box gently. She was scared of many things. Michael stepped closer. Amina, I don't want to replace anything. I don't want to take your mother's place. But if I am your father, I want you to know I will never walk away again. Amina looked at him. His eyes weren't cold. They weren't pretending. They were full of love, pain, regret, everything she never saw in another adult. Why me? She whispered. What do you mean? He asked. Why care so much? You have Layla. You have a wife. You have everything. Michael's voice cracked. Because I don't want to lose another daughter. Amina froze. Another daughter? Michael's eyes filled again. Before Layla, before Caroline, I had a daughter. With someone else. She died when she was 3. A car accident. Amina felt her heart twist. That broke me, he whispered. It destroyed me. So when I saw you alone outside that hotel, his voice collapsed. I couldn't walk away. I saw the same pain I once lived with. Amina's anger melted into something softer. Sadness, empathy, connection. She whispered, I wish my mom had told you. Me too, Michael said. Amina stared at him for a long time. Then she said something she never thought she would say. Can I sleep here tonight? Can I? Michael nodded instantly. You can sleep here for as long as you want. For the first time, Amina felt something like safety, but the truth was still waiting. And it arrived the next evening faster than anyone expected. Michael got a call. He stared at the screen, froze, and whispered, The results are ready. Amina felt her stomach drop. Caroline put an arm around her. Whatever happens, you're staying here tonight. Layla held her other hand. And tomorrow, and the next day. The 4 of them entered the living room. Like people walking toward a fire. Michael opened the email slowly. Amina held her breath. Caroline stepped closer. Layla squeezed her arm. Michael scrolled down. Then he stopped. His eyes widened. His hand dropped to his side. Amina whispered, What does it say? He looked up, and Amina felt her entire world pause, because the look in his eyes wasn't shock. It was devastation, and that was worse than anything she imagined. Michael's voice barely worked. Amina, the test says. Amina felt her throat tighten. Tell me, Caroline whispered. Michael, but he shook his head. She deserves to know. He took a shallow breath. Amina, the test says, I'm not your biological father. The room fell silent, completely silent. Amina blinked once. Then again. She felt nothing. No tears. No scream. No breath. Just emptiness. Layla whispered, No, that can't be right. Caroline covered her mouth. Michael looked shattered. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Amina stared at the floor. Her heart felt like it had been punched so hard it stopped beating. She nodded slowly. Okay. Michael stepped closer, voice trembling. Amina, it's fine, she whispered, stepping back. It's okay. It's not okay, Michael said. It's not even close to okay. Caroline knelt by Amina. Sweetheart, we know this hurts. Amina shook her head. It doesn't hurt. I'm used to things like this. And that sentence broke Caroline completely. Tears fell from her eyes. You shouldn't be used to pain. You're a child. You should never say something like that. Amina shrugged, numb. It's life. It's... Michael whispered. Amina, I want to talk. Please. She didn't look at him. What's left to talk about? Everything, he said. Because I don't believe that test. Amina looked up finally. What? Michael wiped his face. Something's wrong. Something's missing. The photo. The necklace. The way you look. The timing. The letters. Everything fits except the test. Caroline shook her head. Michael. Michael clenched his jaw. I'm not in denial. Something doesn't add up. Amina whispered. Maybe my mother never told you because maybe my father really left. Michael closed his eyes. The pain too much. But she never told me I hurt her. She never told me she moved. She never told me anything. Why hide a pregnancy? Why disappear? Caroline stepped beside them. Some women hide their pain out of pride, or fear, or heartbreak. Amina held the necklace. What if my father knew about me, and just didn't want me? Michael stepped forward sharply. Don't you ever think that about yourself? Amina swallowed. Your mother was strong, he said. If she hid you, it was to protect you. Not because you weren't wanted. Caroline nodded softly. Your mother loved you fiercely. We see that. Layla hugged Amina gently. You're not going anywhere. Not from us. Amina's chest tightened. But I'm not family. Not by blood. Mina. 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 Michael said firmly. Family is more than blood. A long silence filled the room again. Then Amina whispered something that changed everything. My mother said, she had a reason for hiding the truth. Michael blinked. What reason? She wrote something before she died, Amina said carefully. Caroline froze. A letter? Amina nodded slowly. Yes, but I never opened it. I was scared. She left it inside my bag. Thanks for watching. I do find. Michael's breath caught. Amina, do you have it right now? She nodded. Can you show it? Caroline asked gently. Amina walked to her bag, reached inside, and pulled out a small folded paper. The edges were old, the handwriting slightly faded. Michael's hands shook. Can I read it? Amina nodded. He opened the letter slowly. His eyes moved across the words. His lips parted. He sat down hard, like the air left his lungs. Caroline rushed to him. Michael? What is it? He handed her the letter. She read it. Her hand flew to her mouth. Tears spilled instantly. Layla stood frozen. Mom? Dad? What does it say? Michael finally spoke, voice trembling. Amina. Your mother hid you because she was threatened. Amina's eyes widened. Threatened? Yes, Caroline whispered. By your real father. Amina felt her heart race. Who is he? Michael took a breath. According to this letter, your father was a powerful businessman, already married, already living a double life. When your mother told him she was pregnant, he paid her to stay quiet. Amina felt her stomach twist. He told her, Michael continued, if you keep the baby, you must disappear, or I will ruin your life. And Caroline wiped her tears. She didn't leave because she didn't care. She left because she was scared. Amina felt tears streaming down her face. She was protecting me. Michael nodded. Yes. She loved you enough to choose danger over comfort. First and now. Amina whispered. Do you know who he is? Michael nodded painfully. Yes. Amina looked at him with fear. Who? Michael took a long breath. He's a man I know. A very wealthy man. Very ruthless. Very powerful. Caroline whispered. He's someone who will do anything to protect his reputation. Amina felt her body shake. Is he dangerous? Michael put a hand on her shoulder. Not to you. Not anymore. I won't let anyone touch you. Caroline sat beside them. We need to be careful. If he finds out Amina is alive. Michael interrupted, voice fierce. He won't find out. Not unless we choose to tell him. Not. Amina whispered. Do you think he'll want me? Michael shook his head. He doesn't matter. Amina looked confused. Then who does? Michael took her hands gently. You. You matter. And if you want a family. We want you too. We want you too. Thanks for watching. We want you too. Caroline nodded. Yes, Amina. The blood test doesn't change our hearts. Layla squeezed her hand. I want you to stay. Amina felt something warm bloom in her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. Real, gentle, safe hope. She looked at Michael with soft eyes. Why do you care so much? Michael smiled sadly. Because losing a child once was enough pain for a lifetime. I'm not losing another one. Amina finally broke. She cried, not the small silent tears she hid for years. Real tears, loud tears, tears from the heart. Michael pulled her into a hug. Caroline wrapped her arms around them. Layla leaned in too. For the first time in her life, Amina felt what a family hug feels like, what belonging feels like, what love feels like, and she whispered through her tears, "Can I stay?" Michael wiped her cheek gently. "You can stay as long as you want." Caroline smiled. "Welcome home." And for the first time since her mother's death, Amina felt safe enough to breathe, safe enough to hope, safe enough to smile. That night, she placed her mother's letter under her pillow and slept peacefully, in a home that wasn't built by blood, but by love. And maybe that's the strongest kind of family. When blood fails, love chooses. And sometimes, the family meant for you isn't the one you're born into, but the one that finds you when your world is falling apart. If this story touched you, hit subscribe so you never miss the next chapter of life.